Hey guys, and welcome back to the INSITE channel. Today in the Crosshair, we have Shushan. He's tearing it up every day on stream with some of the biggest names in Counter-Strike, an Israeli AWPer looking to follow in the footsteps of his countrymen at the top level. But before we get going, how are you doing today? Like, how's it? I know you've had some issues with Wi-Fi. That's resolved now, so I guess that's a little bit less stressful as well.
Yeah, it's been a very stressful 3 weeks. I wasn't able to stream, barely able to play. I was in the phone like literally every day with my internet provider, which is something insane. Like I don't even talk to my family that much. So yeah,
Because that must be so, like, for you especially, streaming, I'm guessing, is your main thing right now. Like, that's what keeps you, like, that's your, like, full-time job. So, like, how stressful is it? Does it add stress being like, okay, I can't even make money right now?
yeah, it's been very stressful in that regard, and also because of this Twitch, the new policies and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I wasn't even able to get into the point that I would decide like how to move forward. Like if I would focus on like moving over to Kick or something like that, but I wasn't even able to do anything. I was just like trying to deal with my internet issues. Hopefully now it's fixed, but it's too early to tell.
Jesus. Well, so actually, have you made a decision? Are you staying on Twitch, or are you going to Kick, or are you like, yeah, what's going to happen there?
I think for now, for like the next few days, weeks, probably I will stay with Twitch, but because I haven't made a decision yet and I don't want to like jump into the water instantly, but
Yeah.
I guess moving forward, like for smaller streamers, it's way easier when you have like the CS:GO sponsor. So I
Yeah.
think moving forward, Kick would probably be the move, but just not right now. I did make an account on Kick, so people can go follow. It's just Shushan.
Ooh.
Like we got rid of the CS, so people
That's
are
I'm surprised you just got Shushan then on Kit. That's actually pretty good. But yeah, okay, that's kind of like that out of the way. As an icebreaker, I always ask people like how they go into CS at the start of an interview just to kind of get the conversation flowing. And I think you've actually got a very interesting way of getting CS because your whole family plays CS. Obviously, everyone knows about FlameZ, but you also have an older brother, right, that plays CS. So it's like CS was a big part of your family, and like it almost shaped your guys' like whole childhood and everything, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much we like ever since childhood. I would go to my older brother's PC and we would play all sorts of games like Maple Story, Warrock, all of this stuff. And then one day I
Yeah.
come over to him and I see this one game that was like the graphics were fucking shit, but it looked amazing and it was Counter-Strike 1.6. So I was like trying to convince him to get me this game and he didn't want to. And then I'm pretty stubborn, I would say. So he did get me the game, and from then like me and him played a lot. Then obviously went into the army. Then I played. I started to take it more competitively. And while I was doing this, like I was low key doing the same to my younger brother because he wanted to play on my PC and I wouldn't let him. So my parents got him a PC, and then I would have to like fix the game for him and everything. So I got into CS because of my older brother, and then Shahar got into CS because of me, probably.
Okay, there's a few points I want to bring out from that. Firstly, I think a lot of people don't actually know in Israel you have to do military service, and that like talking to all the Israeli guys I've talked to, like hasn't necessarily been that big of an effect. But for you in your CS career, like did that? Because did you just go once, or did you go multiple times? And when you did go before, did it actually like affect you playing?
Um, I'm actually one of the few people in like the Israeli competitive scene that finished the army service completely.
Oh,
And
okay.
like I had a job that I would go in the morning, come back in like afternoon, and this was the times like everyone back then was pretty young, so they had school and stuff, so we would always park like in the evenings. So I guess in that regard it worked. I think that even if I didn't do the military, it wouldn't really like uh, get me farther in CS because the scene wasn't ready yet, and we tried to like focus on Israeli teams, Israeli tournaments. Like I think the scene wasn't ready to go like fully international, and, like try to compete outside of like ECA main and then ECA advanced. Like we were not ready at the time, so
Yeah.
I think for me it didn't affect much. But obviously, if people like if my brother right now was in the middle of a service, then I think it would affect him very much. Like he wouldn't be able to join Vitality or like OG or not even Endpoint because he wouldn't be able to fly to boot camps and stuff. But for
Yeah.
me specifically, I guess I was a bit more of a late bloomer, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily because of me. I think the entire scene just got bigger with time, and with the entire scene improving, like as a whole, I improved like individually. So
Okay, yeah, because it's really interesting when you look at like the history of the Israeli scene. You guys had quite a lot of people in 2018, like playing, competing. You had like the unique stars, and then but like there was no one actually like getting past that. Now we have a big group of people all putting their name on the international map. I want to start though at that time when you were first competing. What was it like before it started to flourish? And why were some of the issues maybe you think that like it was stuck in that like ESEA main, ESEA advanced you were talking about?
I think the first thing is that we didn't have this, like, every scene has this figure that made it somehow. And for us, we didn't have it because, like,
Yeah.
at Spooky, it was pretty known, I think, in 1.6. But when we got into CSGO in, like, 2016, it was already retired. Like, he gave up on the game. So we didn't have this guy who would, like, everyone would respect him and try to follow him, like, follow his in his footsteps. And then you'd have the situation that everyone thinks, like, their ways they want to succeed with. And we had a lot of, like, clashes in teams. And I think the main issue with it is that we didn't even know how to run teams professionally. So we wouldn't have orgs. We wouldn't have like the money part of it, the professional part of it. So we would just grind, and we would play like 6 packs in a row. And when you do it for like a full month, and then you go on a qualifier and lose in the first game, people start to fight each other. Like you're thinking, we're playing so much. How are we not succeeding? So
Yeah.
that's something that happened a lot. I think back then we had one player that was more like showing his name. It was Anarkes. He was more like trying internationally.
Yeah.
I think people knew him more, and then obviously Nerds was always good when he had the HLTV matches. So I think people put an eye on him. But other than these two, I think nobody was really like nobody would put an eye on our scene because like there is not really a reason to. We would just play the Asia minor qualifications. We would always make it to the minor, then lose like 2 games and go back. But I think with time, the thing that improved it is like players, like the more we improved, when we got the minors and stuff, players realized that we need to work a bit harder. So everyone put a bit more work. It wouldn't make us like too much better because I think our main problems in Israeli teams were always the mental part and like the communication with each other. I think that was the thing that was holding us back always. But like we obviously had a lot of players, but if you check the names, like from 2016 to 2018, it was all the same players with different teams. Like it was all different mix-ups, and there wasn't many new players, and that's also something that happened. Like players would think, like, for example, I would say I'm much better than this guy. So, and like I know the other guy that I played in a team with, even though it didn't work out, like we would say, I know that he's good enough. We can make a team with him, but we just need to work on the problems, and then we would make the same team. It was just like it would be like 1 or 2 different players, but it still wouldn't work because the same problems came over and over again.
Yeah, I could see that being a big issue, and I think that's actually pretty much UK CS summed up. So I want to touch upon that point specifically. Like, how would you get out of that cycle? Because if you're just constantly like the same people just going around and around and around, and then maybe one person makes advanced, and maybe one person like does this, but like, how did you get out of that cycle from that like 2018 getting into 2021?
I think around 2017, it was this time. I was playing in a team with nerds, and I was always trying to like. My brother was 13 back then, but there was no rule, like there is no age limit for tournaments. So, like you wouldn't have to be 16. So I was always trying to push him, like I think he could be really good, and people would say like he's too young, he has no experience. And then when I got removed from this team, I was thinking like it was a weird time of my life. Like my father passed away back then, and then I had this period that I didn't play CS, and then I tried to come back and like give more for CS, and then when I lost this team, I was like, okay, what do I do now? I don't know if I want to play the game anymore. And then I talked to Spray, like I was telling him, like I want to play with my brother. I think he could be really good in the future. But I don't know. It's like in a weird team, they're all young players. It was like, why wouldn't you try? What would happen? Like, what's the worst thing that would happen? You would play the game anyway. You will play Face It. I was like, okay, let me try it. And then I think from that period there was like I was playing with them, and then there was three names that came up to like the scene. It was my brother, obviously. It was really good already. It was Meow and it was Asylum. These are three names that would stay like in the scene for a long time. And then there was another upcoming team with like older players that came to like elevate talent kind of thing. And then Mestal and Spinks was on that team, like on the other team. So in the span of like 3 months, you suddenly had like Mestal, Spinks. You had a few more players that like either didn't take it too seriously or like didn't stay too much. And then you had our team that all three players were good. And I think we proved that in 3 months from being like they were all like no-namers in the scene kind of thing. We actually beat my former team. We beat Nuggets online and we got like second place. So like if we would take that tournament as a ranking, I think it would be like we were kind of a second place and then like Korea had their problems, so we became like first. But I think if I wouldn't get kicked back then and we didn't have like people like recent and like they were playing Valorant right now, but if we didn't have the other people that believed in like the young scene, we probably would stay with the same 10 people and wouldn't give guys like Mestal, Spinks, FlameZ a chance. And then maybe we wouldn't have like the same names right now at the top, you know? So it's kind of weird to think about it back then, but they say everything happens for a reason. So I guess I should have been kicked from this team back then. That way our scene got bigger like in 3 months.
Yeah, that's a crazy, like, you've got your life, like, having big difficulties in life, kicked from your team, and playing then with your brother. Was that almost like a reset a little bit, and you were like trying to just like build up yourself in so many different ways, not necessarily as like a player, but as just in life, like you're almost resetting yourself in life. And that's actually so interesting. So like, yeah, what was it like then having to play with FlameZ and just your whole life just resetting almost?
I think that's one thing that helped me like actually enjoy CS. Like I was always playing, like
Yeah.
even from 1.6, I was always like known with the players, but I wouldn't be taken to too many teams because people saw me as more of a pugger. Like I would come play a pug, I would play good, but I wouldn't be necessarily that good in a team. That's what people thought about me back then.
Okay.
But I think that like I had a problem. It was much bigger back then. Like obviously I cannot become perfect like in a day with that I'm working on, but I used to be like arguing a lot if people wouldn't agree with me. So I think that made people like stay away from me a bit, like think that I wouldn't make progress because I wouldn't really like put the work in and like try to work on myself. But then when I was like with my brother and also with the other guys that I respect a lot, they kind of looked up to me because I had like more experience than them. So I think it helped me a lot to enjoy the game. And then even if we would have like arguments and stuff, they would take it as like, let's learn. Like he has a bit more experience than us right now. Then let's try to learn from him. And I think this thing got me like the place in the scene that I could actually be good. Like I'm not as bad and like like it's not like I couldn't improve. Like people could see me improvement. I think it helped me a lot. And yeah, obviously like being in like a weird place in life and then having to enjoy something and like make progress and having to do it with your brother was amazing. There is something that people don't really know, but like my connection with my brother is a bit different than usual brothers because uh, basically my father was sick for a lot of years and my brother grew up like with the sick father, so he didn't really grow up to a father that was like working, providing, you know, it was all my mother. And then when my older brother went to the army, I was like the man of the house kind of thing. So in a way, I guess I was his father figure, you could say. Like he would look up to me and see like how I do stuff. So it felt good to me that I'm not only like making progress myself, but I also felt like I'm helping him make progress and like do what he loves. And he's one of these guys that would always say, you can take credit about my career, like if you want, but obviously I cannot take credit like for a thing like that, you know, like it's his talent. He like put the work in and everything, but I like to think about it like I had a good like step in the way, like I was a good stop for him to like progress, and that's like the most important thing to me, like you know, knowing that I had like a part of him becoming like
Yeah. That's actually, it's so, yeah, I didn't realize until recently how much, like, there's so much that I want to touch on later, but I want to first stay with a little bit in the Israeli scene. And So like comparing like that kind of the thing you had, like that connection you had to your brother with the father figure, it almost sounds like you had that with the Israeli scene. Like you grew up playing these youngsters, and now especially like you are a little bit older than a lot of these guys that are playing. Like obviously Nerds is like kind of that one step above you, but has that like father figure gone from your brother to now a little bit like this Israeli scene?
I don't know about the Israeli scene. I think I'm more like trying to get advice from like Spinks, Nerds, FlameZ these days, which was something like I used to be so hard. Like I would try to do stuff myself, and I wouldn't like to like come to someone and say like, "Hey, can you please help me? Like, what do you think about this?" Like I didn't do it as much. Now I'm doing it way more. But I think in general in the scene, I'm respected as more of like an older player, even though it's kind of funny to say because like when I was grinding and I was like 18, Nerds was still grinding and he was 15, you know, like we play for the same amount of years, but he's just younger than me. Like I know this guy from
Yeah.
1.6, he used to play in a team, like in teams against me and everything. But so I think in the age part, yeah, maybe I'm like more of an older guy and like obviously I'm around for long and I'm watching a lot of CS, so people would take my advice sometimes, but I also feel so young because I feel like I just need this opportunity to go to their level, you know, and I would take everything I can from them until I get it, kind of thing. So it's funny because now I'm taking advice from my brother about this, and I was the one who taught him about you know, it's funny how life can turn sometimes. But
That actually must be so bizarre. Like I remember like I kind of have that a little bit with my brother. Is like my brother, it's like I'd be like the flames in the situation, and like now my brother's asking me help with his like marketing campaign for his work, and he's just like, this is really bizarre having to ask you for help now. That's, so an interesting thing you said, like when you first coming up, people just thought you were a Pugstar, and people didn't think you were good in a team. Is that, do you think, like mentality still there a little bit because you are known for being like an FPL star? Like if you look at your like Wikipedia, it's just like so many FPL like top 10 victories. You're a big streamer. That's your name. Do you think people like, even though they might know who you are, they think of you as just an FPL player?
um, I think right now with the stream and everything, people see me as more of a streamer, and I think
Yeah.
maybe some people don't necessarily know if I would want to play in a team, and that could definitely hold me back a bit. But I think the biggest thing that could hold me back is the fact that I don't have too many like active maps on HLTV, for example. Like I didn't play in a team for a long time, so I think people obviously they might think like he doesn't want to play in a team, or people will think like, oh, if he was good enough, he would make it. Like for sure, somebody would give him an offer. But um, yeah, I think the stream part is like one of the main things. I think people just think about like Shushan is a streamer right now, you know, but I really want to like change it so people would think about it like, no, there is this guy. He wants to work. He wants to improve. Like even though he's 26 years old,
Yeah.
maybe not the youngest. I'm still like putting in a lot of work. I'm trying to play a lot, trying to watch a lot of CS. Like um, I see CS as my life basically. Even though I guess when you put something like that, it could get you in a lot of hardships. Like if stuff doesn't work out, but when I want to do something, I'm doing it. That's how I was like my entire life. I was stubborn enough, and then I can see myself working like 12 hours a day for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more years. Like as long as I'm enjoying the game, I will put in the work because I want to be good at it. I never want to be like I never enjoyed being decent at something. I just want to be the best always in every game that I play. So that's what I want to change. Like with people's mind, like if people look at me, I want them to look at me as someone who would work, and it doesn't matter like if like I get an offer that is like some people would think that I would not want an offer because the team is not ranked that high or something like that. But I never say no to an offer. I will always be down to try it. You know, doesn't even matter if I opt
Yeah.
rifle or anything. Like even if I land on a team and I'm gonna be a rifle, I will like put my best work into it. You know, that's the kind of person that I am and that I want to be. So I hope that people would look at me as less of a streamer, more of a player. You know, like of a professional. But I guess in the stream as well, like you could say that I'm grinding a lot of streams because I see this as my main focus now. Like that's the main way I could get like a salary, you know. And then that's why I'm putting
Yeah.
my best, like the most focus into it right now. But it doesn't mean I don't, like, I'm still trying to get a team for every qual and stuff.
That's really interesting. And I want to, yeah, so with the wanting to improve bit, you have all these people around you, and like you're saying, like you really want to improve. Are you being pushed because like the Flame, the Spinks, the Nerds have got to tier 1? You're like, God damn it, I want to be there with you type thing. Is that like pushing you that little bit extra more as well?
Yeah, obviously I want to be there with them. You know, like I was one of the people who always believed that Israelis could make it, like not necessarily as a 5-man team, but I always believed in it enough. I used to have a lot of fights like with my
Yeah.
mother, you know, and I would tell her like, look at the top players in the world, like they make much more money than you, like they could live like a very good life from it. So just yeah, no, it wasn't like in a bad way. It was just like
Yeah.
this thing has a lot of money,
Observation.
like yeah, like you can make a career
Yeah.
out of it, like another like a football player, you know, like it's that kind of thing. So I would tell her like,
Yeah.
obviously you can make it. Look at these players, and then I would hear like even from players in the scene, players who did grind and try to improve, they would not believe that anything good could go out of it. So like, if you don't believe, why would you try? If you don't believe enough, like you have to believe somewhere that you can make it. And then I think when obviously when Spinks joined Contact, and then he went to Ends, and my brother joined Endpoint around the same time, we were like thinking, okay, so we now prove that Israelis could make it tier 2, you know. And then Ends started being insane when they replaced Alu with Hades, and then when they replaced Dotto, they became even better, you know. But
Yeah.
but by that point, my brother was an OG, and we were like, okay, Israelis could be tier 1 now, you know, like we already made it this far, so what's stopping the others? Obviously, if we were not talented or like we're not good enough, these players might not want to play with us, you know. But I don't think they would play with someone who is worse than them by far, and like would not tell him like how to improve and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were always like this, like, you know, they will always give you advice like how to improve and stuff, what you need to do. But yeah, it just made me believe even more. So now I'm at a weird place that like I really want to do it, but also, you know, if I want to make it up to like a certain point, then obviously I would have to like open to more things in life, like studying and stuff like this. Like I could not bet my entire life on CS if I don't make it, but I would put it my like I would give it my all until I get this opportunity, and if I never get it, it's unlucky. Like, but I hope I would get it.
Yeah.
I would work hard until
Okay.
I don't have a chance anymore, pretty much.
And that's very respectable as well. And well, speaking about that opportunity, I'm interested to see like what role, because you said all pro rifler, and if you look back at your old teams, you were playing with the likes of Anarchez, who is a AWPer, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he would have been AWPing in those rosters. But you like, I would have known you as an AWPer. I've seen you stand in as a rifler, and I don't like what. Why are you like kind of switching back and forth? Is it to give you the most opportunity, and is it just because you also feel like comfortable in both roles?
I always felt comfortable in both roles. Like I think I'm a very good
Yeah.
rifle as well. Like I don't think my rifle falls like, but um, I don't think like based off skill only like that I'm really good with the op and then not good with anything less like else. Like I think there's a lot of operas that are
Yeah.
really good with the op, and then when you give them a rifle, they're like a liability.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I said before, like I want to be the best at everything, so I always work a lot on my rifle, my op, my pistols. Like
Okay.
I try to be really good at everything, and then if people ask me to stand in, obviously if I market myself just as an opera, like I want to be an opera. That's my like native role. That's what I played my entire life. But I know that it could limit the amount of opportunities that I would get because opera is one player out of 5, and then you have 4 more players that are playing more rifle. You know. So I think even if I
Okay.
got an opportunity as a rifle, I can get the most out of it and be a really good rifle, and then like second op or something like that. But back in the day with Anarchez, we had this thing where like in one team he said like I want to try to be more of a rifle, so you would op, and then we made another team like 2 years later, and I was saying the same, like I don't mind rifling, I feel my rifle right now, you can op if you want, like I don't mind. Like it was this kind of weird dynamic, and then I think when I stood in for Invictus, for example, or Titans, it was all like one day before they would ask you to stand in, so like I would just come and feel, you know. But I think with both teams, I didn't really do that bad with the rifle, and I didn't even know my positions like until I didn't have time to work on anything, you know. Like I would just fill in, play with communications, try to get the most out of it, and I think I did pretty well in this part. And then with the ISF team, like I was more of like the captain of the team, so I was playing rifle and Marcus was open, and then I was like calling as well. So I feel comfortable with rifle as well. Like it doesn't matter for me. But if I had to choose, like you would give me the same ranked team, but as an op or as a rifler, I'll probably choose op. But if you give me like the opportunity to join as a rifle or no opportunity as an op, I will join as a rifle and I will just be a rifler. Like I think I can do it. I have the confidence in myself to do it.
What role as a rifler would you join as well, just like out of interest?
I talk a lot when I play. I don't know if I talk too much, but I always saw myself more as like a rotation kind of player.
Okay.
Like I think one of my strengths is like reading what the enemy thing is doing and what I need to do, or like organize the team around what the team would do. So I like to call a lot of rotations and stuff. And when I play in the same spot, like as an anchor, I try to be involved in the game so much, even though sometimes, like if you play B-ups on Mirage, you cannot be involved in the round like 100% of the time. You know, sometimes you would just have to stand your ground and like let your team talk and stuff.
I know.
When I'm more like this,
yeah.
when I'm more like into this type of role, I'm kind of losing myself. But when I'm more active, I think you can get the best out of me. And then, like if you talk about T, like I never had a problem like looking entry and like, you know, being with a, obviously I'm used to more being with a pack because I'm a sniper, but I think because I was an off for so long, playing rotation is way easier for me because I'm already used to like calling like I'm rotating here, let's do this or let's do that or we can do this kind of push. So I think that kind of role is the one I would get that would get the most out of me. But even if I was an anchor, I would just have to put the work in to like learn it. Maybe I'm good at it. I just never really tried to be like a full anchor.
Okay. So have you ever heard the phrase like jack of all trades, master of none? Because it's actually something that I get told quite a lot. But it's like, is this something that you are maybe like, okay, I could either become like just focus on AWP and that will make me better like as an AWPer, or can I spread around thin and be like at like a certain level that's not like up here if you were as just focusing on AWPer? Like, is that something that you think about and is worried about, or do you think that's just like not even a problem for you?
I think like if I got you right, it's like either you could be like a really good op, like right, or you could be pretty good at everything, but not as good as if you focused on one thing, right?
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah,
I think like I personally value people who are good at a few things, like on a really good level on a few things, more than people who are good at only like one thing but really good at it.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is like I always try to be good at everything, like, you know, because I wouldn't want, if I'm open for a team and then I have a rifle, like our economy isn't good enough and I have a rifle, I wouldn't want to be like a liability, you know. I would want my team to trust me that I would like pick people and get like the headshot, you know. But I guess other people think that they need to be like really good at something. I just don't mind. I think that if I got my role, I would try to be the best at it, you know. So even if I got a rifle, I will just put everything I have into rifling and try to be like the best at it. I might be like the 20th best, the 30th best, like, you know, but I will try to hit my pick at every spot. It's just, even when I'm open, because right now I'm playing more Pugs. The thing about Pugs is that half of the game, if you're going to op, you're going to get bored. And I'm like, I want to be active, you know? So I would take like the rifle a lot of times. Just like, I just have fun. Like I enjoy both kinds, you know? So in a team, it's much different. But I don't know, I think someone who could be really good at a few things is really good at it. Like somebody who's flexible, I think his value would be a lot more, like a lot higher. Basically.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I think
if you take someone like Zayu, is like, he's probably the best, is the best player this year. But like, if you look at him as an opper, he's like a really good, like he's at the top 3 oppers in the world. But I think with a rifle, he doesn't fall off from anyone. you know. So that's what I think
Yeah.
makes him such a complete player. But if you would take Shiro, for example, he's like an insane opper, and you would watch his games, you would see like he's really, really good. But then if you put him as a rifler in a team, you don't expect him to like be a top 10 player or something like that. Like maybe he could be, but it's not something you expect from him. Whereas Zaiwu, for example, I think if he would be a rifler, would still be like a top 3 player in the world.
Yeah, okay, that is something. Yeah, I was gonna say because like with CS you have the like traditional roles of like AWP, entry fragger, lurker, support, IGL, and that's like not really a thing at tier one because at tier one everyone does everything, and I don't think people realize how like there's an IGL, but everyone kind of is an IGL in their own separate way, and like that is a big part of tier one CS. And do you think that like that is going to give you the edge then, but like to do everything in tier 1 CS is a mandatory thing to have, and that's something you acquire, sort of like you have as in your
I
arsenal.
think if you are really good at it, obviously, it could be very good in tier 1. Like, I think people don't realize it, but I think tier 2 is way more tactical in a way, and then you would have people like a support player in tier 2 would do much more support, whereas in tier 1, you could say, like, if you would watch FaZe, for example, or even if you would watch Vitality and stuff, like, the people who are on the role of support are not always doing support. Like, it's like, obviously, your utility has to be on a good level, your aim has to be on a good level. You need to know how to hold the spot, even if you're like, it's not your spot, but you got into a situation in the game, like, you have to know how to do it. And that's why I think tier 1 will always be tier 1 and tier 2 will always be like, they could get the upsets and stuff, like, around RMRs, but if you would put them consistently in the same level, they would just fall off. I think we saw it with Spirit when they came into the major and they got top 4, and then after that they just started falling and falling and falling. Now they have like almost a completely new roster. Like, I think that's the best example. But I would like to be the best in, like, I don't know if to be the best, but I think if I'm on a good level on everything, then even if I'm on like a good team, and then a better player than me comes in my role, then I can just switch it up, go to another role, and be good. And I think the best example for it will be Nuff. I think, like, you could see how they're switching him up in Liquid, and he's still like, I don't know if he's the best player on the team. Like, for me, I value him as the best player in the team because he's always so consistent, and they switched him up like so many times. It looks like funny in a way, like as if they're trying to ruin him as a player, but they cannot. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're moving him to like bad positions, and he's just getting the most out of it. Like, it's
Yeah.
an error that you could put anywhere, and he will be good. And I think if you put a good team around him, like really high fraggers and stuff, this guy gives you the numbers. Like, if he's gonna be the third player, like the third best player on your team, you have a really good team. I think it could be
Yeah.
said about FaZe as well. Like, if Rain, obviously people think that Rain would be the one to be cut because he's getting older.
But no, because he does everything.
Yeah, but like he's doing everything, and you see when Rain plays
Yeah.
good, they usually win. Like, he has so much impact on the team, and this guy's been everything. He's been like a star. I think apart from Opel, he's been everything. He's been an IGL, he's been a support, like he's been entry, like he's doing everything, and he's doing it on a very good level. So I think that kind of guy can stay. Like, he could have a very long career in tier 1. And like, even when he's finished with tier 1, like even if FaZe remove him, I could see him going to another team. Let's say he joins Apex. I think his experience and everything will instantly improve the team, and he's gonna be good. Like, he can do it in tier 1. So
Yeah. Okay, so your mentality of the game is don't be like this good player in one role because as soon as I'm replaced, you're done. Be like a Naf or a Rain and just be like, I can do anything. I can improve your team no matter what. And I think that's like a really strong mentality to have. And what's very interesting is that's a mentality from speaking to, especially Spray, very, very good friend of mine. I've spoken to him at quite big lengths about the Israeli scene. The big issue you had from his perspective, and I want to get your take on this as well, is the egos, and people would only want to play the best roles, and they were like, I'm the star player, I'm going to get the most kills, I all want stats, whereas your mentality is like, I don't care, I just want the team to win. How have you developed that mentality in this scene since like is this something that's come around recently because of like we've seen all these other guys like changing their mentality as well, or have you always been like that?
I think back in the day I was way harder on that. Like obviously I played some anchor roles and like bad I guess roles in some teams, but I still care to like for example when we were building a team for ISF and stuff, I I told them like for the last time, like the way I see CS now is that it's not that everyone need to give up their ego and like like you cannot have 5 people giving up their ego and just playing whatever and like being nice to each other. You need 2 people who are willing to give it up and let the people who are better at something do it. I think that's the way teams would succeed. Like you need to have stars in the team. You cannot just everyone will do everything and it will be fine. Um, but like when I had it, I would not say, look, I'm not playing this position. Like obviously with the last national teams, Spray had a lot of say because he was like coaching us and he would like suggest like I think this guy needs to be here and stuff. But I think I would get better positions because people would know that I could do it on a very good level. But we still had this mentality. It's not like about certain players that people wouldn't. They don't want to think like another player is taken from them. Like they don't like this feeling that someone is taken from them and is trying to like get better at their expense. It's just like that's the way some people see it. I just think like from the last 2 years that if there is 2 players that can do something on like in the best way possible in the team, like out of the 5, like let's say you're really good BOS Mirage player, for example, but then your team brings the guy who is known to be better than you, then yeah, like he can do this job better. You can do something else and do it on a good level, probably, But that's how I see it. So we did have a lot of ego when it came to that, and people want to be the star and like the star of the team to have like the best numbers, so people would look at them. But now I'm growing into like thinking that there is not really a better like every position is important, Like if you look at Heroic, for example, if you look at Mirage, like the worst position to have is B, but they have tests on B and it's like insane. It's not like tests is a liability or something, Obviously, a lot of IGLs take it, but even in the IGLs department, like you would watch Snappy, Hooksy, like they're not high fragging IGLs, but they're also not abusable kind of thing, Like they would play the site well and they would play it well enough so the fraggers will like come and clean up, So in ends, I think right now Daicha plays short, so Snappy would delay enough time and take enough attention so Daicha will stand up, and Hooksy would do the same for Hunter. And I think there is no bad positions unless you look at it like a bad position. Like if I would look and like I would be put on BLs, and I would say, oh, it's not a shit position. I have no opportunities to succeed. I will not be good in that position. I will not believe enough that I could be good at it and like improve my team by playing B, But obviously, you could see my brother, like FlameZ, he was playing Con in OG, and then he was put to BOS in Vitality. Like he's their B anchor now. He's more of an anchor type player, and just put his best.
Crazy.
Yeah, and his numbers have gone up as well from OG. Like he's looking better than he looked in OG, So I think as long as you don't look down on teammates and like don't look down on your positions and think like I deserve more, as long as you understand that it's a team game, that's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's really interesting. And I want to move kind of to like FPL because you that's like a big part of your career and a big part of I think every Israeli player. It's like, okay, playing FPLC to FPL, get noticed. In 2021, you made your way into FPL. I feel like it gets a lot of critique and it gets a lot of like criticism. What are your overall thoughts on like FPL and FPLC? And for the hate they get for many reasons, do you feel like it was better in 2021 than it was now? And like, what is your general thoughts about these leagues?
Well, I tried a lot, like for a long time to get into FPLC, for example, and I had like high hopes from the league. I think that people don't realize that FPL changed in a way that like, the schedule is pretty tough for tier 1 players. And I could see like from my brother, when they have their free time, they would prefer to like play Faceit with their friends, speak their own language, and like they wouldn't want to get into a too serious game when you would have people who are blamed for like stream sniping and stuff because they want like to get the prize money at the end of the month, and then
people stream snipe at FPL.
I don't know if people are stream sniping. Like a lot of players blame others for stream sniping in FPL, because there is prize money, and then this guy would do something weird in the game. Like it was something that always happened with FPL. Like people would think like this guy has to be stream sniping because there's no way that on the last day of the month he just won everything. That kind of thing. So I think the top tier players will like they don't want to get into it too much. It's just a headache. Like why not just play with your friends? And
Yeah.
I think right now the league is in a weird spot because we are transitioning to CS2, and I'm pretty sure they're making like big changes in the league. Obviously, I cannot say if I know anything, but I think they're doing like big changes with the league, and they're like reforming it in a way. And I think right now, for the past few months, it's been the same people playing over and over again. So you get the same lobby.
Oh.
And at the start, it was fun, but now like if you come to play and you play like 3 games, you play with the same 10 people, it's like the same game, just maybe sometimes on a different map. So it's not as fun. But in 2017, 2018, even 2020, I used to like look at FPL streams and say like, "Wow, I want to play like in this league." And even when I joined the FPL, there were more pros playing than there are now. Like, so I guess it was a little bit better, but and I guess we have to see what they're cooking for CS2 and then determine what's going on. I think right now, because of the transition to a new game, we cannot really judge the league. I think Face It as a whole is like, unless you're playing 5 stacks and you meet a lot of pros, you would not see like too many players, I guess, grinding. Like back in 2020, when I was grinding during like COVID, I would grind like the FPLC, Qual, and Premium and stuff. You would get a game in like 1.5 minutes, something like that. Like you could grind 12 games a day, something like that. And now you would wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes for a game. so it's like, I feel like people are waiting to see what's gonna happen, like grinding less. Obviously, they did some system changes and stuff, but I think the main thing is for FPL, for example. I think a lot of the pro players and like a lot of the people who are active in FPL are like waiting to see what will happen with the league, because right now it is enjoyable sometimes, but it could also get on your nerve a little bit. Like it's not what it used to be even when I joined.
Okay, so it just feels like that the CS circuit, because it's become busier, it's taken away from these online tournaments a little bit, or these online the hubs. And so it's interesting you said something, you're like, I used to always look up to during FPLC, I always wanted to like be an FPL. I think that's a culture of people outside of like kind of like the inner circles of CS think FPL is this nuts crazy thing where it's like, oh my god, this guy's an FPL. And then when you're actually in that like sphere, you look at it and you go, I don't care if you're an FPL or not. Like, doesn't mean anything. Do you think that's like a culture?
I don't know if exactly the way you put it, but I would say before I joined FPL, I looked at it like, okay, if I'm good in FPL, I'll get offers, kind of thing, But then when I'm in FPL, I realized that even if I play good in FPL, the players who are playing in teams are not playing there to see how you play,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of people would like play for stats, for example, or like bait a lot to get their like better statistics, and then FPL would post you. But even then, I think people these days look more about like if you show up on HLTV a lot and you have good performance, people will take you to a team. But if you play in FPL, you can be the best player in FPL. You might not get the offer, or like not as good of an offer, for example. So I think that's something that people do not realize. I hope it changes in CS2, and people would give this league more. Even like if they improve it, obviously, and the pros play more, I think it would give them more of a place to succeed. But if you look back in like an HLTV, there's not too many players who succeeded from FPL in the last few years. I think the ones who really did it because of FPL are like Broky and Bimas. And then if you look after that, maybe Boros when he joined Endpoint, but for Nerds, for FlameZ, like these are people that like my brother joined Endpoint, he played I think with Singularity and he played really good. And then it wasn't only FPL, it was like Singularity as well that helped him. And then for OG, like his performance in Endpoint helped him, And then for Nerds, I think his name was known for a long time, and then also FPL helped him a little bit. But like I heard from people when I joined Finest, for example, our coach told us that CLG were like trying to get him in like 2017 or something. Like they put their eyes like CLG on Nerds in like 2017. I cannot confirm it, but that's what I heard, and it's like that's how like people looked and said, "Oh, like this guy's a talent, you know, maybe he will be good in a few years." But he didn't accept the Steam offer. Yeah, he
Sorry,
didn't know who it
is it the
is.
Steam offer?
Like Nerd didn't know who the Steam offer was from, so he didn't accept it. Something like that. Yeah, but
Oh my
but
god.
imagine we could have known about like Nerds for such a long time. Obviously, it happened to him. Like, who knows, bro? If he was in CLG for like, I think it worked out for the best. Like, imagine it was in CLG and like a 17-year-old moving to NA, and then they're not then that good. Maybe he wouldn't be in the scene right now.
Ah, yeah.
So I think it's
Because it can go like it can turn on your head. Yeah, like you can get your break too early, and then that is actually bad if you get your break too early. Oh my god, this was a COG with like Pugstar, Ricky,
I cannot
FNS.
confirm it, but
Oh my.
but that's a story I heard that is actually funny. Like, but I know about Nerds that people for a long time knew that he's like one of the best Israeli players, even when he was like not active in the army, not on a team. Like people always knew his name because he was obviously like he attended the Face It Asia Minor, I think, and he was always like good when he would show up like Agent TV tournaments and everything. He was always like doing really well. So I think
Oh, okay.
it's not FPL that helped him. It's like just people knew him and FPL like sealed the deal kind of thing for him.
Okay, yeah, because I really feel like the outside of like the inner sphere of CS, I really feel like people get sold a lie of being like FPL creates careers and like it just doesn't, and it's actually just a really like, as you said, like it's the same people every
See it
single
from
day.
FPL. There's like 20 others that got demoted to FPLC and qualified back kind of thing, you know. But there's a lot of players.
Yeah,
I wish that players from FPL like I think the way it's run, obviously it had like stats available for everyone for a long time, so people would want like average kills and stuff, and there would be like worse teammates because of it, and the prize money could make some people toxic in FPLC and in FPL. So I think it made people like not want to try and play with each other. But I wish there would be more like FPL mixes. Like obviously the one that comes to mind is you remember the Anarches mix when they played with the like they signed with Team Secret, but when they played this ECS qual with Synopsych, Juan Flatro, Tutson, Anarched, and they just qualified, and then they almost beat Astralis, and they took a map of NIP and stuff. I wish that would happen more. Then people would see like there's really good individuals here. Like we can actually do something with them.
there was also that FPL mix or FPLC mix that knocked out Astralis in the like European like open qualifiers. And I feel like, yeah, like, so that's actually a really good point because these guys are all like incredibly cracked, but no one like actually physically like properly, like what's the word? Yeah, like people won't actually like do them, which is very interesting. But for you as like a modern day now, you're standing in a lot for like different teams. That's kind of been like what you've been doing for the past like year. How come you haven't like settled into a team? Because it's very like, if you like, I was saying, look at ESEA, like you haven't played ESEA in quite a while, but you're still standing in, and you are playing a lot with like the likes of Endpoint. What is like kind of the issue you're finding with like not be able to find like a permanent home as either an AWP or a rifler?
Um, I'll be fully honest. I didn't get too many offers like to join a team or like to trial for a
Yeah,
team. I did get a trial. Like obviously, I played a tournament with Titans, but way before that, I got like a trial with them, and then I played with them for like one day, and I didn't hear from them, kind of thing, you know.
I
But
think I casted that game.
yeah, but when I played with them in the tournament, they were like, I was talking with Sunny after, like, you have good skill, like you have good communications and stuff, like you know, he was giving me like good feedback, and I got a lot of good feedback,
Yeah,
even when I stood in for like Endpoint, apart from the big thing that flopped a bit, like individually, but I guess I
that was
get
not your
more.
fault. Like if you look at
Yeah,
that game, like that was you. Yeah, like
like
I don't
we had
know.
3 stand-ins, so it would be rough anyway. But I have a thing, like
Yeah,
if I don't play well, I first like I blame myself like as the first thing because I feel like if I would say, "Oh, it was unlucky" and stuff like that, I wouldn't work as hard to fix it. So I like to blame myself for this stuff. I did have a project for like ACRMR, and it flopped a little, and it wasn't, I guess, because of like it was unforeseen circumstances, but we had like a project with me, Blue Phoenix. We tried to give like Davey a chance, and then we had to change to Meow, which is the guy I told you before that I played with. And then we had Jax
Yeah.
and Nico, the Danish Nico.
As in like.
Yeah, it was like a project for the Asia RMR because we thought like it's a good way to make Paris Major. And then
Okay.
one day after the European qualifier, like the second qualifier, OG came and took Nico. And then we couldn't get any player who played in the European qualifiers. So we were looking for like Israeli players, like who was available, European players that are not that did not play it. And we already booked a bootcamp, like we paid from our own pockets, flight to Abu Dhabi to play from there because you cannot play in the Middle East from Israel. We have like routing problems and the servers are in Dubai, so you just need to fly and play. So everyone paid for the bootcamp, and then you need to get one more guy who would be willing to pay for a bootcamp, which was something like 1k euros. And you come to a player like, hey, we are flying in a week, can you do it? So obviously a lot of players said no, a lot of players would prefer to wait for offers, and then we managed to get Xreal, but with like 1 day of practice and then like 2 hours of sitting there and talking, it just wasn't enough. Like it was too much of a mental break, and then when stuff started going bad, like in the game, it just broke apart and we didn't even make the close call. But it was so many problems, like unforeseen circumstances, and I remember I was talking to my mother, and I was like, what do I have left to do? And so it's like, even this project that I put everything into, it didn't work, and it wasn't even like I couldn't do anything about it. And then I decided like, no, I'm not gonna be a quitter, and I took a flight like the day after. I booked a flight, and I came home and I instantly opened stream and played FPL, try to like shake it off kind of thing. But that was like the last project, and like I think I just got more offers for standing in because I guess people see me as more available. But I wish I would get more trial offers, that's for sure. Like I hoped I would get a trial for Endpoint, but they obviously went with Send, who showed like promise in Mars NXT. But then I got the stand-in offer, and I tried to like get the best out of it. And like their coach put out a tweet like that he thinks I should be getting more offers and stuff. That was really good. So that gave me a lot of like boost in confidence. You know, like I came in out of nowhere to stand in for a team, and I didn't do like as bad as maybe like. Obviously, people didn't think I would come and be a perfect fit, but I think I was a really good fit, so that was kind of close. I'm happy about that at least. But yeah, if people, I wish people would give me more of a chance to like trial for a team, like show what I'm worth. I think I could provide a lot in the game, even if I'm not like hitting my shots. I always try to like focus on team play, like a lot of calling, a lot of talking. I think that's good values to have in CS, and I wish like. I want to say it as like I need this one opportunity to like redeem myself kind of thing, because ever since Finest I never really had that opportunity.
Yeah, and because that's been a long time, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like when I finished with Finest, it was kind of a situation that I heard that they're looking into like getting anarchists into the team already. Like I knew that was happening, and also I had this thing that I kind of lost trust in the org because of the way they were managing the team. So like we had a lot of changes, but then the last change that we did was like we were given a deadline of 2 days to close the team so they could send contacts to the new players. So we had 2 days to close the team, and we had only 2 players that were trialing. So from the moment they told us 2 days, we knew that these are the 2 players we were taking, and we had the kind of a clash of personalities in the team. So it would be like between me and IGL and then another guy. I guess like we had 4 people with clashes, and then one guy that had private stuff going in his life. So it just wasn't the perfect fit, but we were given 2 days, so we tried to make the most out of it. And over the 2, like I was there for almost 1 year, and over the span like of time that I was there, we always had the same problems with the org, and the org never fixed it. So then obviously we had Nerds leaving. We were trialing Evigod, but then we didn't really give him a trial. We just gave him one qualifier that he played with 40 degrees fever. And he did like well, like the guy played like, he had like 39 degrees or something. He was playing with the flu, and we were doing really good as a team. And then he didn't get a try like after that, which is something like I didn't agree with. And then we had Mesta leaving because he didn't agree with it. And then my time has come, so I kind of left it as well. But after that, I tried to grind for FPLC, and it was. I didn't manage to make it out of the qualifier, and I feel like if any player is out there is feeling depressed because they cannot make it through the qual, just like my heart goes to you guys. Like it's so hard to make it when you get like these 2 days that you need the first day to go really well, and then it doesn't after a full work of like grinding. It's so hard mentally, and I actually want to quit the game. Like I was playing a little bit of Valorant and stuff, and I was thinking like, I remember it was literally like 2 years ago. It was like the 1st of August that I was sitting at night, and I was like, okay, either I go tomorrow and start applying for jobs, like I would go to work and try to grind the FPLC in the meantime, or I just go all in on Valorant and try to play it. And then I didn't know what to do, and I was just opening my mail, and I see invite for FPLC in the mail. And El Serbian told me that, yeah, and El Serbian told me that I was one of the players with the best performance on Faceit, like on the platform. So they want to give me a chance in FPLC. And then I was like, okay, I got this chance. I am not quitting. Like I'm giving it everything. And in my second month, I make it to FPL, which was like insane. Like I almost went full on another game, and then I make FPL in 2 months. It was unreal feeling.
That is, yeah. I mean, those FPLC qualifiers, like they're straight out of hell. Like I wish no one, like I don't want anyone to ever have to go through even playing in them. Like it's awful. But like I want to touch upon that like Asia minor stuff and playing with that. Like, do you feel like this is where you'd be like, this is how you'd make professional, and how you like really put your name on the map is making that like Asia minor qualify for the major? And also like for when you and that Jax project like blew up, how did you mentally reset from that? Like you would have hit a massive low, and it's like, do you think that's going to be now something you even focus on in the future because it went so badly?
But I think one thing that definitely worked for like in our favor is that there was no like HLTV or something for like this result is not recorded somewhere, so people would not see, oh, but like he played these teams and he's playing so bad, like this kind of thing. But
yeah,
I took it really bad at the start. I wanted to like quit. I was talking to my brother and telling him like I have nothing to continue in this team. But then I talked to like Nayak. You remember him from G2? He was their manager. He was working with us as a manager. Like he was helping us sorting everything for us, and he had a talk with me about like basically Nico, like the Danish Nico was our captain when we were practicing, preparing everything. He was the one like calling the shots, like working on maps. Like him and Jax obviously they have so much more experience than us, so we just came to learn. And then when we lost Nico, the team said like that they think I should take it, like the kind of captain thing, like to try to work more as an IGL. And it was an experience. I wouldn't say it wasn't, but obviously I didn't have too much experience with it. So I would have these games that I would tilt and stuff. And as a captain, I don't think like you should let your players feel like you're tilted. It takes everyone down. So when I talked to Nayak, he was telling me like, I wasn't actually as bad as I thought I am, and that he experienced the same thing with, like he was talking about G2 when they lost to Gamer Legion in that major, the Star MR that didn't make the major. So when he told me about it and that he saw like the same reactions from the players, everything, like he said that as a captain, I was actually dealing with it very well, and it gave me this confidence that maybe I didn't really do it as bad. So I went back to this place, like the PC, like the practice room the day after, to watch the demo, to write what I could do better, like what went wrong for us. And then it just gave me this thing that when you lose a game and you're not playing as good as you want to, I think a lot of players have this thing that they will think like, oh, I'm so shit, like I'm doing everything bad. But if you actually look at it, you will see that you are not doing everything as bad as you think you did. And then some things just, like, sometimes God wants the opponent to hit the shot, like, so hit a jump shot. Like, you shouldn't tilt when somebody jump shots you, It's just unlucky. And then I just looked at it this way and was like, okay, not everything went as shit as I thought it would. So why would I quit? I just got this experience. It could make me just like it could just help me go further, like and better. And I think when I came in to play with Endpoint, for example, it was so different mentally for me because it was the first time that I didn't try to like do everything in the game and just focused on my role. It was really like,
Okay.
I don't know if you watched. I think it was Agent TV Confirmed podcast when Nerds talked about Mighty Max and Sorel and like their team, how they are run, and they don't mind sacrificing themselves for the player and everything. When I played with them for these
Yeah,
4 maps,
yeah.
yeah, I played with them for 4 maps, and I felt like this team is so well built, and I understood like why people like Heavy God, like Nerds, FlameZ, like even Messi when he was there, they all get to shine because the people around you, like Max and Sorel, and then you have the new guy Azuo, which is like this guy is really good, and you have Heavy. They all like let each other play, like play their game.
Yeah.
They're all so good outside of the game and like outside of the like let's shoot the heads part that it makes it so easy in the game. Like even if you're not gonna hit your shots, nobody's gonna tilt, like smash the table or anything. And when I came to play, I just felt like it was natural to me. Like like I felt like I'm already like getting the trust from these guys. And then mentally, I was like, I just need to focus on doing this. Like, I just need to hold this angle. I know on the other side of the map, and like Heavy would do his job, like Mighty Max would do his job. Like they would do the rotations. Like I could just trust them instantly. Obviously, they have more experience than me, so I shouldn't be the one to say it. But the team, like all around, felt so good that I could finally just focus on myself and not try to do other stuff. And it was so refreshing for me because I felt like I made a lot of progress, and I felt that they're so good that it made me like I want this kind of team. Like I think if I get an opportunity with this kind of team, I could show people what I'm worth. Like
Okay. That's interesting. So what I'm hearing is Shushan's coming to UKCS.
I don't know about that, but maybe if I get the offer for UKCS, I will consider. I mean, it's working with Endpoint. Maybe other UK players can make Israelis shine as well.
Maybe that's like that's our calling, is make Israeli CS shine. But
there's really good players.
Yeah,
there is really good players in your scene. It's just I played with a lot of players from like UK, like a lot of British players, and I think there's a lot of good players or like players with potential, but definitely the ego, like it's like our scene in the ego part. But I think because we had so many players burst into tier 1 CS, then the entire scene kind of changed. Like everything shifted because people understood that the way that they thought would make tier 1 is not good, and the way the others made it are like is working. So why not try their way? Like I didn't play with Spinks in a team, so I didn't know how chill he was, like in the game, that he would never tilt and stuff. And then I always used to think like I was trying to understand what makes Spinks special, because you wouldn't look at him and say like, oh, he's the smartest player ever and stuff. Like he's shooting really well, but then I understood that his attitude is really easy to work with, and then he's really eager to learn. So before we knew it, when he went and grinded to FPL and stuff, and like grinded alone, he just surpassed all of us, in understanding of the game and like how to like like how to work with other players. And then obviously my brother has went through that, Neres has gone through that, and I think Shushan has made people outside of the scene wouldn't understand just how much of an improvement Shushan made, which is insane. We trialed him in Finest actually, and it didn't go as well. Like obviously we had problems in the team already, and you get a younger player.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't really work that well, but the way he worked on himself and his attitude is so insane to me. Like that's the example that people I think take from the scene, and I respect him a lot from that. And actually, like I think 2 months ago, I actually took him to the side on TeamSpeak and told him like, I think my personality and his personality were so similar back in the day. And then I was telling him like, how did you make such an improvement? Like how can you get yourself to a place that you get to your A game? Like you know how to put yourself in your A game. So he was trying to like give me from his experience, and I just understood like how much I think personally he made the most like the most radical change in how he was to how he is today. Obviously, I don't know everything that is going in mouse, like, or how he's like dealing with teammates and stuff, but I could see it from his game because we could see from the outside just by his body language that he's tilted. And when back in the day, if he was tilted, it would be very hard to get him out of it. And now when you watch his body language when he's in mouse, you see him like more calm, like, you know, like trying to focus on his stuff, like trying to focus on the game, and he's playing so much better right now than he used to. So I think he made the most radical
That's very interesting.
change. Yeah.
And then that's kind of like almost like what you're trying to like achieve almost. So you're saying like you guys had very similar, you were trying to get to that level. And like speaking about like all kind of coming up to tier 1 together, I know it's been talked about a lot, but like Israeli super team, is that something that like you've done it with ISF? Is that the main dream? Like you're all doing your own thing and you've all kind of come up together, you've all had to go separate ways. But is an Israeli super team the end goal with you and everyone else?
I think if you count 3 Israelis and 2 Europeans as an Israeli team, then
Okay.
I think with the players that are in the scene right now, obviously we would have a lack of IGL, which will make it hard. And I think a team of like 5 Israelis will already have a harder time like shining online, for example, because of ping difference. We are used to like pings, and obviously like you could see there it's heavy good, like they're playing from home, they're playing with like higher ping, like 50, 60, 70, and we're used to it. We can play good on this level, but it's not as consistent as like take 5 Israelis, let them live in Europe, like get them a team house in some country in Europe, get them
Game over.
I think they're gonna shine, like they're gonna be really, really good on an individual level, you know. But then you would have like the other factors that there's only 2 oppers in the scene, in me and Anarchez. And then I'm obviously more on the older kind of part. I think Anarchez is more like an explosive guy. Like you would see him shine a lot. Like he would go for a lot of picks, like a lot of insane flicks and stuff. Like, and I think I'm more of like the guy who would go for aggressive stuff, but I can also like be more passive if the team needs it and stuff. Like I don't mind playing more passive at times. So I think we have like a different dynamic, and then depends which players you get. Obviously, if you get Nerds, Pinks, Flames, and Xertion, you would have already a bit of a clash in roles, because for some reason, we always say it in the scene, all of the Israelis that are playing on a team like tier 2 and tier 1 or tier 1 got like star positions and stuff. Like they're playing more of like the fraggers of a team, except maybe FlameZ right now, which he more of like his role is to more like entry and stuff, but yeah, anchor on City, and like on T is more like running in first and stuff. But with the way he's been doing right now, if he keeps it up, I think it's not gonna like he's been doing it on such a consistent and good level in Vitality that I was telling him, like, I was actually really surprised to say that he is so soon into Vitality and is putting up such good numbers. I thought he would have it really hard at the start, like he would take some time to like adjust to new players and stuff, but it looks like he's just became a better player instantly. And I think maybe if you make a team like that, you would have him and Sergeant a bit sacrificing a little bit more of their game for the other players, because I know that Sergeant had more like of an experience as an anchor type player, but then I guess if you would want the IGL part, I have no idea who would make it. And
you?
I guess I could do it, which would be a bit funny because I would have the least experience in the team and I would come to IGL them. But
yeah, I guess.
Me, or like I'm not in the team. I guess the guys who could do it are probably either my brother, I think, could do it, because you wouldn't understand unless you play with him, but he's always like suggesting ideas, like trying to come up with new ideas, trying to talk in the game. I guess it would be him or Xertion. But we played one Asia Minor Qual back in 2020 during COVID, and Sphinx was IGLing for us in the game. And I think he had no experience with it, but he was just in FPL at the time. He wasn't even like ends, contact, anything. He was IGLing, and we were talking about it, like how good like the calls he was making were, you know? Like when he was telling us. So I think there is very like creative possibilities about this team, you know? like about a super team. But if you would tell me to choose a super team, then either take all of the 4 that are in tier 1 and just add either me or an Arquez. That would be, I think, an obvious choice. Or if you would have role clashes, then I guess you could take someone like Heavy God who can play more of an anchor, and then he also had experience IGN when it was like in Budapest 5 and stuff. So I guess you could make that. But out of the other people in the scene, it's not that they're not good enough. They have a lot of potential, but I think we have more clashes on like a personal level, so that this kind of team, I think we would make the RMR, for example, in Asia if we played. I don't know if we would make the major, but if all 5 people were on the same page, we had an org, we had a psychologist to like deal with our problems, like we would treat it full as professionals. I think we maybe could make the major, but I don't believe in it as like a top 5 team. Whereas if you take all the stars from tier 1 right now and you put me in an Arquez, like or an Arquez, I think we would be at least top 20. I think this team would be at least top 20 just because it has like a lot of fraggers and stuff. I think you would just need this like, maybe it would be tricky, but I think we would have tournaments that we could like make the playoffs in tournaments. It's too far to say right now. Obviously, like we didn't even try it, but
guys, yeah,
I think it has the potential to do like great things, but it's mainly because like the people that we have in tier 1 are all like, they're all really skilled. You know, they're all like stars. So I guess it could happen just by sheer like skill, you know, sheer firepower. I think that's
okay. That it'd be awesome. And I think every Israeli player I talk to kind of has that same sentiment of like, it'd be cool one day, and that'd be really cool. I think it'd be really nice to see like all of you guys, because it's such a small team, but all come together at the very end, like maybe like after the career's done, and that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be so cool just to like hop on and see like Flame, Spinks, you, like all these guys just hop in, destroy on a server. And I feel like that's a pretty good way to end. This interview has gone a lot longer than I anticipated, but it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I feel like my insight into this very niche scene and you as well has completely changed and evolved as well. And I hope you have enjoyed, and thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see you progress into a team. And I feel like it's gonna be so cool seeing people like almost take yourself more seriously, like not be seen as a streamer, but be seen as a player. Like and I can't wait. Redemption arc. Yeah, honestly, I feel like that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, because like you are doing so well, and people just take you so seriously. Yeah, do you have anything final to say?
I wish it goes the way like you said it. Like I think I want to have that redemption arc kind of thing to prove what I'm worth. And the thing about the Israeli scene, we joked about it a little bit, that when we are all washed up, if we're still good enough, we could just make like an Eternal Ice kind of team and just play the Asia minors and make the majors from Asia, like, you know, always. But I think every Israeli, like, the thing about our country is we are a very small country, but people are really like nationalists. So I think the dream of everyone would be to succeed with like other Israeli players. Obviously, you can see Spinks and Flames, and like my brother and Spinks now, I think they're having so much fun being 2 Israelis on the same team and doing like really good. Like it just hits different. Imagine if you have like 3 more people like that, and I think this would be insane. And then like imagine they would replace Apex with like like you replace Apex and Magic can get 2 Israelis with Zywoo. Like you could teach the guy Hebrew. You teach the guy Hebrew and you say like we have an Israeli team at the top. But it's a dream for all of us. Maybe it will happen someday. Maybe it wouldn't. It would be cool either way. But I'm just happy that people are starting to see like the Israelis actually shine and not think like the scene is like not that good, you know.
Yeah, I think the scene has been taken so much more seriously, and from my perspective, it's because like it's been exposed more to tier 1, and because you have like these players coming up, it then almost like brings into the spotlight you guys. Because I think from what I saw a lot was now you as an individual are pugging with Zywoo, are pugging with Magisk. That would have never happened before, but because of now, like, you have that opportunity, and I feel like it's given you guys a lot more of a spotlight, which is really cool. But yeah, like, I genuinely feel like we could sit here for like another hour and speak.
Yeah.
But I think time is like, I don't want to keep you for too long, and sadly this might have to wait for another day. But thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I only wish the best for you and for everyone at home. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the INSITE channel. We've had Shushan in the crosshairs, and make sure to check out next week for another episode. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you later.